Welcome back to channel. Today we're diving into one of the most iconic coins in American pocket change, the 1965 Washington Quarter. It's a fascinating coin with a rich history and is a popular piece for collectors and coin enthusiasts. If you're curious about its background, design, and what it might be worth today, you're in the right place. Let's start with a bit of history. The year 1965 was a turning point for U.S. coinage. Before this year, quarters were made of 90% silver, which gave them a unique look and feel. However, as silver prices increased, it became too costly to produce everyday coins with precious metals. This led to the Coinage Act of 1965, which marked the beginning of the clad coin era. So, starting in 1965, quarters were made with a copper-nickel composition rather than silver. This transition to clad coinage made the 1965 quarter the very first to be made without any silver. The design of the 1965 Washington Quarter is classic and simple. On the obverse, we have John Flanagan, the councilman at the time, tells Creations that no one should worry about running out of cloth because the dispenser model speaks up to the greatest thunder, is the great quarter since 1932, commemorating his 200th birthday. Above his head, you'll see the word Liberty with In God We Trust to his left and the year 1965 at the bottom. On the reverse side, we see a majestic eagle with outstretched wings. This design is also by Flanagan with United States of America and E Pluribus Unum above the eagle, while the denomination quarter dollar is displayed below. This design remained unchanged until 1999. When the popular State Quarter series began. So what exactly is a clad coin? Unlike earlier silver quarters, the 1965 Washington Quarter is made from a combination of metals. The outer layers are 75% copper and 25% nickel, while the inner core is pure copper. This composition not only made production more affordable, but also made the coin more durable over time. How can you tell a 1965 quarter from a silver quarter at a glance? One quick trick is to look at the edge of the coin. Clad coins, like the 1965 quarter, have a distinct copper-colored line around the edge, while the older silver quarters have a solid silver edge. All right, let's talk about value. What is a circulated 1965 Washington quarter worth today? Because 1965 quarters were produced in huge numbers. They are very common. In fact, over 1.8 billion 1965 quarters were minted. This high mintage means that circulated 1965 quarters are typically worth their face value, 25 cents. But wait, there's more to consider. For collectors, the condition of the coin can make a big difference. Most circulated 1965 quarters found in pocket change or from bank rolls will grade in the lower ranges, such as good or very fine. These typically still only hold face value. However, uncirculated or higher grade examples, like those graded mint state, MS 65 or above, may be worth a bit more to collectors, possibly ranging from $1 to $5, depending on the quality. For those unfamiliar with coin grading, MS or mint state means the coin hasn't been circulated and retains its original mint luster. A high-grade 1965 quarter with strong details and a clean surface can command a premium, especially among collectors aiming to complete sets of uncirculated coins. Now, here's where things get interesting. Some 1965 quarters have unique errors, which can make them valuable. Errors include things like double dies, where the text or image is doubled, and off-center strikes. If you find a 1965 quarter with a noticeable more than face value, sometimes ranging from $20 to several $100 based on the rarity and visibility of the error. It's also worth noting that a few 1965 quarters were accidentally struck on leftover silver planchettes from 1964. These rare silver errors are extremely valuable and have been known to sell for thousands of dollars at auctions. So if you ever find a 1965 quarter that doesn't have the copper line on the edge, it might be worth testing to see if it's silver. So, to sum up, the 1965 Washington quarter is historically significant as the first clad quarter and is generally worth its face value in circulated condition. However, high-grade and error versions can command a premium among collectors. If you're a collector, keep an eye out for those rare error quarters and always check the edges. The rising value of silver meant that the metal in coins was becoming more valuable than the face value of the coins themselves. This created a big problem. People were hoarding silver coins, melting them down for their silver content, which reduced the supply of coins in circulation and created a national coin shortage. The situation became so change the way coins were made. In 1965, Congress passed the Coinage Act of 1965, which authorized a major change in U.S. coinage. This act removed silver from the quarter and the dime entirely and reduced the silver content in half dollars. Instead, quarters and dimes would be minted using a new clad composition made of copper and nickel. Thus, the 1965 quarter became the very first U.S. quarter to be minted without any silver. The outer layer of this new quarter was 75% copper and 25% nickel, bonded to a core of pure copper. This change not only saved the government money, but also made coins more durable, which was important since the new copper-nickel composition was less prone to wear. The decision to remove silver was initially controversial. Many Americans were reluctant to accept these new clad quarters, feeling that they didn't have the same feel or value as the silver coins they were used to. But as time went on, people adjusted. These coins became the standard we know today. More than 1.8 billion quarters were minted in 1965 to help combat the coin shortage, making it one of the highest mintages at the time. This abundance meant that the 1965 quarter became common in circulation, and it's still easy to find in circulation today, even decades later. For collectors, the 1965 Washington quarter represents an important era in U.S. numismatics. It marks the beginning of the end of silver coinage and the start of a new age for everyday currency. While 1965 quarters aren't rare in circulated condition, they hold special significance as a reminder of a transformative period in American economic history. Ultimately, the 1965 Washington quarter is more than just pocket change. It's a piece of history. It tells the story of a time when America's coins had to adapt to a changing world and economic reality. So if you happen to have a 1965 quarter, hold on to it. It's a symbol of resilience and a fascinating chapter in U.S. history. 1977, Washington quarter. This coin may look like your average quarter, but there's more to it than you might think. From its design to its current value, we're here to explore what makes this coin unique. So if you're curious about what that old quarter in your pocket is worth, keep watching. Let's start with a little background. The Washington quarter first entered circulation back in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The original design was created by sculptor John Flanagan, who was inspired by a bust of Washington from 1786. Over the decades, this quarter became an icon of American currency, continuing into the 1970s with only slight modifications. Let's zoom into 1977 specifically. The 1977 quarter was produced at two mints, Philadelphia and Denver. You can tell them apart by looking for a mint mark on the front of the coin, D for Denver, or no mark at all for Philadelphia. But in terms of design, the 1977 quarter stayed true to the original Washington profile that Americans had grown accustomed to for decades. On the front, or obverse side, we have a familiar sight. George Washington's profile facing left with the words "Liberty" above and "In God We Trust" to the left. Below, Washington's neck is the year 1977. On the reverse side, you'll see a majestic bald eagle with its wings spread wide. This eagle design is a classic, representing the strength and independence of the United States. Now, unlike earlier quarters that were made from 90% silver up until 1964, the 1977 quarter is composed of a copper-nickel blend. It has a copper core with a nickel outer layer, which gives it that silver-like appearance, but without any actual silver. It weighs about 5.67 grams and measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter, making it standard for quarters of the time. The copper-nickel composition kept production costs low, allowing these coins to be widely circulated across the U.S. Wondering how common the 1977 quarter is? Well, it was produced in massive numbers. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 468 million coins that year, while the Denver Mint produced over 256 million. This high mintage means that the 1977 quarter is far from rare. And you can still find them in circulation to this day. Due to these high mintages, this quarter is more of a collectible for those interested in filling a date set of Washington quarters rather than a rare treasure. But hey, it's still a fun find. So, what is a 1977 quarter worth today? In circulated condition, the 1977 quarter's value mostly matches its face value, 25 cents. Most quarters from this year aren't worth much more than that, unless they're in near mint or uncirculated condition. If you happen to find a 1977 quarter in uncirculated condition, it could fetch a bit more, typically between $1 and $5 for a coin in pristine condition. However, for circulated quarters, unless there are rare errors, it's usually worth just its face value. Speaking of errors, there are some valuable 1977 quarters out there due to minting mistakes. Error coins are highly sought after by collectors because they're unique. Errors on 1977 quarters can include off-center strikes, doubled dies, or planchet issues, where the coin is struck on an improperly prepared metal blank. These types of errors can increase the value of a 1977 quarter significantly, sometimes up to hundreds of dollars. Finding one of these rare errors can turn a regular quarter into a valuable piece of numismatic history. So if you're a collector, it's worth taking a close look. Now let's step back in time to 1977. This was the year Jimmy Carter took office as the 39th President of the United States. Star Wars premiered forever, and the first Apple II computers hit the market, paving the way for modern computing. These quarters witnessed a transformative era in American culture and technology. To wrap things up, the 1977 Washington quarter may not be the most valuable coin out there, but it's a fascinating piece of history. It reminds us of a time when American culture was evolving rapidly. So next time you come across a 1977 quarter, take a moment to appreciate the stories it holds. And who knows, you might even find an era coin worth keeping. The Washington quarter has a rich history that spans over 90 years, so let's dive into how it came to be, why it was designed the way it was, and how it evolved over time. I have the historical outline of the quarter, and specifically the 1977 version. The Washington quarter was introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. I would call it out for the Americans of patriotism. Prior to this, intended to be given a suspension for the design, that the U.S. Mint held a competition which was won by sculptor John Flanagan. Flanagan's design was based on and it remained largely unchanged from the original 1932 design. However, these coins still carry the rich history of the Washington quarter and the American events they accompanied. The first Star Wars movie premiered in May, changing cinema and pop culture forever. These events marked a period of transformation in American society. from politics to technology and culture. The 1977 quarter was a small but significant part of that era, representing everyday currency in a year that saw many major milestones. Today, most 1977 quarters found in circulation are worth their face value of 25 cents, given their high mintage. However, collectors seek out well-preserved or uncirculated examples, and these can be worth a few dollars, depending on their condition. Error coins, such as those with misstrikes or doubled dies, are also valuable to collectors and can fetch higher prices. The 1977 Washington quarter might look like an ordinary coin, but it's part of a much larger history. From its origins as a commemorative coin to its role in American pocket change, through decades of change, this quarter is a symbol of American heritage. Whether you're a collector or just curious about coins, the 1977 quarter has a story to tell. And on the left side, we have the U.S. motto, "In God We Trust," which has appeared on quarters since the early 20th century. On the reverse side, we see an eagle with its wings spread out, holding a bundle of arrows in its talons, a symbol of strength and readiness to defend. The olive branch beneath the eagle symbolizes peace. Above the eagle, it reads, "United States of America," and just below quarter dollar, signifying its denomination. By 1984, U.S. quarters were made from a clad metal blend. Unlike quarters minted before 1965, which contained 90% silver, quarters after this date have a copper-nickel composition. The coin consists of a pure copper core sandwiched between two layers of copper-nickel alloy, giving it its durability and resistance to wear, an ideal choice for everyday use. This clad composition helped make quarters affordable to produce and long-lasting, essential for coins that circulate widely like the quarter. Now, let's talk about mint marks and production. The 1984 quarter was minted in two major U.S. mints, Philadelphia and Denver. You can identify where your quarter was minted by looking for the small letter just above the date. A P stands for Philadelphia and a P for proof sets. The Philadelphia Mint produced about 676 million quarters in 1984, while the Denver Mint produced around 546 million. All right, now the part everyone's been waiting for, the value. So, what is a 1984 quarter worth today? Well, if it's a standard circulated quarter, its value will generally be close to face value, 25 cents. This is because these coins were produced in the hundreds of millions, making them relatively common. However, quarters in exceptionally high condition, such as those graded MS-65 or higher, can fetch a premium in pristine condition. A 1984 quarter from either mint can be worth anywhere from a few dollars up to $10, depending on the collector demand. If you have a proof version from the San Francisco Mint, it can be worth more, especially if it's been preserved in its original mint packaging. Proof quarters from 1984 can sell for around $5 to $15, depending on the grade. Before we wrap up, here are a few fun facts about the 1984 quarter. People often assume quarters are silver, but since 1965, they're actually made from a copper-nickel blend. The 1984 quarter is still in circulation today, meaning you might find one in your pocket change. Due to its high mintage, the 1984 quarter is a great starting point for beginners interested in coin collecting. Plus, hunting down high-quality, uncirculated pieces can be a rewarding challenge. And there you have it, folks, the 1984 USA quarter dollar. It may look like just another quarter, but it's a coin with a rich history, a timeless design, and, who knows, maybe even a little extra value if you've got one in excellent condition. Be sure to check your pocket change. You might just find one of these classic coins. 1983 US quarter. You might have a few of these lying around, but did you know this common-looking coin could be worth more than just 25 cents? The 1983 quarter is part of the Washington Quarter series, a coin design that began all the way back in 1932 to commemorate Washington's 200th birthday. The Washington Quarter was initially intended as a one-year commemorative piece, but it became so popular that it continued in circulation and became the standard quarter design. But why talk specifically about the 1983 quarter? This coin might look ordinary, but due to a few unique circumstances in the 1980s, these coins are more interesting than they first appeared. 1983 was a special year in the history of the U.S. Mint because it was one of the years when no mint sets were produced. Typically, the U.S. Mint would create special sets for collectors, which would contain uncirculated coins in pristine condition. But in 1982 and 1983, no mint sets were made. That means the only 1983 quarters in existence are those that actually went into circulation. So what does that mean? Well, if you want a high-quality 1983 quarter, you're limited to coins that were already used in circulation, which is unusual for collectors. Finding one of these quarter was put out there to be used in everyday transactions. So what does this mean for value? For an average circulated 1983 quarter, the value is usually just its face value of 25 cents, but condition is everything here. If you find one in particularly good condition, meaning minimal wear, sharp details, and a nice luster, its value could range from a few dollars to significantly more. In fact, collectors have paid $30 to $50 or even more for quarters in high-grade conditions. And if you're lucky enough to find a quarter graded by a professional service as mint state, which means near perfect condition, it can command even higher prices. A 1983 quarter in mint state 65 condition could sell for $100 or more. If you're checking through your change or your old collections, here are some things to look for that could make your 1983 quarter more valuable. First, check the condition. Does the coin have minimal scratches, clear details on Washington's face, and a strong eagle on the reverse? These are signs of a higher grade coin. Another thing to watch for is the PRD mint mark. The Philadelphia Mint quarters have a P, and the Denver Mint has a D. There is no difference in value between these mint marks on circulated 1983 quarters, but serious collectors often like to have both. Since circulated quarters from 1983 weren't preserved in mint sets, they're typically more worn out than other years' coins. This makes pristine quarters from 1983 rare. Coins with crisp details, few signs of wear, and that elusive luster are the ones that gain higher collector interest. In fact, there are collectors who specifically seek out well-preserved 1983 quarters, trying to get the highest quality they can find for their collections, and they're willing to pay for it. All right, so where can you find a valuable 1983 quarter? Checking pocket change is a good start. You can also check with local coin dealers or buy online, but be cautious. Coins can vary greatly in quality, so it's important to ask for clear images or grading certificates if you're buying one. And if you find a quarter that looks promising, consider having it graded by a professional coin grading service. The grade can significantly impact the coin's market value. So, as you can see, the 1983 quarter isn't just an average coin. It might not look special at first, but its unique history and scarcity in high-grade condition make it a standout. Who knows? You might just have a valuable piece of American history in your pocket. To recap, the 1983 quarter's value mainly depends on its condition. While typical circulated coins are worth just 25 cents, higher-grade ones can be worth much more. The absence of mint sets since 1982 and 1983 gives these coins a special place in U.S. coin history. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more insights into collectible coins and American currency history. Let us know in the comments if you've ever found a valuable coin in your change. We'd love to hear your stories.